I would tell you, you don't get another mulligan, right? And it's not that you were doing dumb stuff. You got here doing some very incredible, brave stuff. And so I've
done a lot of dumb stuff.
I'm sure it's on the list.
Plenty of it. Welcome back to the Take It Outside podcast, where we talk all things outdoors and just getting outside in general, where the good things in life happen. I'm your host, Sam Mackey, and as always, I have my co-host, Smoking Jay Cutler, up there chasing deer still. All right, today's guest is Bill Dickinson, the owner of TETRA Hearing. He's built a company focused on the one thing that most hunters ignore until it's too late: protecting your hearing without killing your ability to actually hear the woods. Bill, your company and this topic is near and dear to my heart because I've had hearing aids since I was 28 years old. So I'm interested to hear, how you started and why you started it.
Yeah, cool. We've been talking about this for a while. It's fine. It's good to finally get here.
I know, right?
We just need to change the calendar and flip the year a little bit, but it's really to serve the passion. It's kind of cool that Jay's out there going hard on the middle of January and still trying to get that whitetail that he was probably looking at back in July and August, right? And it's that type of passion, which is what we're trying to fuel in allowing guys to be able, and gals. It's mostly guys, but it's all guys and gals. This concept of being able to do what we love as outdoorsmen for as long as we possibly can. And one of the biggest things that stops that is how we jack up our hearing along the way of having fun. And that having fun, I mean, sometimes we get paid to do it. Like hearing loss either comes from occupational problems, occupational noise and working around loud stuff, or in recreational, either the hobbies that we do, whether it's pulling triggers or whether it's woodworking or stuff like that. And my background, I'm an audiologist, I'm a hearing doc, and I've been fixing broken ears for 35 years now. And we rolled out, I started putting everything together in 2018. We launched the company in 2019. So we got 6.5 years under our belt, and it's already a bigger success than I ever dreamed possible, right? And this idea of being able to say, we can restore your hearing, we can correct for hearing loss. And the big concept was building what we call pursuit-based hearing systems. And like everything else, Jay's hanging in a tree this morning, chasing a whitetail. There's a whole bunch of guys standing in water and flooded timber and flooded corn and chasing ducks and geese and what they need to hear and what they need to protect in those situations. Although I'm sure Jay's pulling back a string, so it's not about the protection, but it is about the hearing. And the whole concept is what we need to hear and how we need to protect is based on the pursuit that we're engaged with. And that was kind of the loose brick in the wall that we found. I've been monkeying with this for probably 20 years, just privately building stuff for me and my hunting buddies. And then my kids started getting into it. And this idea, there's a ton of things. I mean, the good Lord gave us a great hearing protection. It's our index finger. And if we can get it in our ear at the right time, we can protect our hearing, right? Have a really crappy listening experience and hearing experience. But you can protect it. And that's kind of what, for decades, the hearing protection industry has done to us as hunters. And it was, everything was built to protect the ear from the gunshot, but it provided a really crappy listening experience before the protection was needed. And so most hunters, you go to a sporting clay course, you're shooting a 100 round a trap, someone's making you wear hearing protection, right? You're forced to wear it. No one's forcing you to wear it in the duck pit, right? Or in the blind. And our whole concept was, if we can build a device that corrects for hearing loss and provides a natural and or enhanced listening experience, then hunters will have it in their ear and their ears are protected, whether it's a single trigger pull or a barrel burner dove hunt, right? So,
you mentioned two things, occupational hazard, right? For hearing conservation. And, I got told when I was young, by someone, a senior guy. It's like, hey, if you were a dentist, your back would hurt. If you're an accountant, your fingers would hurt. But yeah, you're in the SEAL teams, your ears are going to ring a little bit, right? And I wish I would have taken more precaution on my hearing at a younger age. And you mentioned your ability to regenerate hearing, right? Or correct hearing loss?
Two very different words. I know you kind of see it, or it's easy to be seen as the same thing, but and so I hope I didn't say regenerate.
He's hoping for regenerate.
Yeah. I'm really hoping for regenerate.
I mean, there's some stuff out there. It's going that way, and it's not AI, right? But this idea of like some of the unbelievable science coming out of stem cell research and that kind of stuff, and this idea of it's been proven around the world a little bit more where they have a little bit loose research standards in other places of the world than the US, that we can regrow. The inner ear is full of the nerve cells are called hair cells. Super really fine, kind of like just soft, like the softest downy feather on a goose type thing, right? And we got about 15,000 in each ear.
Sam, you get about 2,000.
You broke up a little bit there, bud.
I said, Sam, you only get about 1 or 2,000.
Came in a little broken, but I tell by the rhetoric he's making fun of me.
Well, no, but I think he's trying to give. This is what it sounds like with hearing loss. This is what Sam lives like every day. Because
I read lips.
You're right, Jay.
Exactly.
I mean, Sam's down to about 2,000, right? Is where I think you were going with that. And in the interesting part, that was actually a perfect. I mean, I wish we would have been smart enough to plan that little tech error in there with how we just heard Jay's voice breaking up from the cell signal. But that is hearing loss. That is what people with a lot of hearing loss, typically hear. A dude like Sam is younger and has a good strong central nervous system and is super engaged. He already kind of got to there where he's saying, I read lips, I read body posture, right? I read facial expressions. And so you fill in the blank very well. You get, a couple more decades on that brain and that central nervous system, that becomes a lot more challenging. And so where we were going with that. So the idea of regeneration versus correction is like, eventually, gosh, I hope I'm blessed enough to see it in my lifetime. You guys are younger. I'm pretty certain you'll probably see some regeneration in your lifetime, but it will probably be that long down the road where we're actually able to, kind of regrow or regenerate the damaged cells. Right now, we can't do it. So it's all about correction. And correction is what I've spent my entire professional career doing, is like what's the right blend of sound that we're trying to get in, and what you need in order to hear the TV across your great room is different than the frequencies that we need to enhance about hearing, the preacher in church versus the soft, the soft, sweet nothings from significant others and all that kind of stuff. Right. And this concept of how we need to amplify sound for music or speech and quiet versus speech and noise or the Mexican restaurant all changes. And that's what we've been doing in the audiology profession, is formulating, different algorithms for different listening conditions. And that's kind of really what I took all of that years of that type of thinking and correcting hearing loss that way, and said, like, okay, hands down, the duck hunter needs something very different than the pheasant hunter versus the turkey hunter. And it's not unlike a big part of my career, starting in the early 2000s when I got to Vanderbilt, was the Musician Hearing Center that we created there. And as you know, you guys were kind of just when I grew up, a musician never had anything in their ear. And you guys had a little bit of that. And now you see that every musician has something in their ear, right? And people think that that's about hearing protection, and it's really not. It's all about performance, You're the drummer, Sam, I'm the bass player, Jay's lead singer. Every one of those musician in the ear monitors are programmed specifically for how we want things to sound, right? You program them just how you want the drums to sound. I program them just for bass. If we switch them up and I try to play the bass with your set that's programmed for drums, it sounds like crap. And so really those two phenomena is really what we took over with TETRA and said, like, all right, if we're going to make something, an excellent hearing experience in the field for the hunter, we got to make it sound good. And what we look at are the sounds, the unique sounds by specific hunting. And that's what we enhance and diminish.
Which is, sorry, go for it, Jay.
Bill, give us like a novice breakdown of kind of how this works. I mean, you have your sets in your ears, and I know there's certain wavelengths and frequencies, and you guys have algorithms that kind of weed through it all. So give us just kind of a 30-second pitch on how this stuff works, so that people kind of understand what we're dealing with.
Yeah,
here.
super. It's it's a good point, and you guys have been wearing them for a while, so it's easy to talk about because you've had
my favorite ear pro by a long shot.
Yeah. Well, cool.
It's not even close.
Cool.
This podcast was brought to you by Outsider. Check us out at www.outsider.com. Outsider is an outdoor lifestyle brand owned and operated by me, retired Navy SEAL Sam Mackey, and my dear friend and former NFL quarterback Jay Cutler. At Outsider, we encourage everyone to get outside and enjoy all that life has to offer. Head over to outsider.com to check out our unique patent-pending drinkware. Outsider's drinkware can be customized with your personal or business logo. Go to outsider.com, upload your logo, and we will send you visual proofs and great wholesale pricing. And don't forget, get outside and enjoy all that life has to offer.
And so what we've done is I'll just step back. We make custom products where we take a form fit for the ear and we build everything it's custom made only for your ear. We have the company was really designed around our universal products, and the idea is that you don't need to go to an audiologist or an ear doctor to get the ear impression. And we're just getting ready to release our whole second line of kind of our second generation of universal fit. And the goal was to make it as simple as possible and have it as high tech. And so what we've done is we've measured all of the sounds based on different hunting pursuits, right? The waterfall and the turkey are probably the most different and the easiest to talk about. The idea of being able to blow a duck call, back in the musician example, that's the lead singer being able to sing and that their voice sounds good. The duck caller will not tolerate blowing a duck call if it sounds like crap to them. And so we sat there, we made 1,014 recordings of Harold Knight blowing duck and goose calls. And literally we had a microphone on his eardrum and we collected all those waveforms. And you take that, throw it through spectral analysis, and it gives out one waveform. And that was the basis of our first patent for the waterfall. We did the same thing. We recorded all of the cool sounds that the wild turkeys make, right? And everything, obviously the gobble's the main driver, but spitting and drumming and kiki and fly down and cuts and purrs and yelps. And again, you get several hundred recordings of all those different sounds, throw it together, and now you have a single waveform. In that waterfall waveform looks uniquely different and sounds uniquely different than that turkey waveform. And that was our second pattern. Then we did the third thing with something that's near and dear to your guys' heart was again the cool vocalizations of the elk, right? And mews and barks and bugles and all of that stuff. And once you get 3 patents, everything else builds on that. And so the idea, that's how we literally make it for the upland. We went through and we recorded pheasant flush and chucker flush and quail flush and briars going across chaps and Garmin e-collars and cowbells and all this stuff, a bit of what you need to hear when you're running a CRP field out in South Dakota for pheasants is completely different than sitting in Georgia trying to figure out what direction the gobble came from.
And also it cuts out what you don't need to hear.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why what everyone has done. So it's the hard part is, we're sitting in this cool studio and the easy part, like in what traditional hearing protection does, Jay, to that point, is it'd be just like if we just cut the power to this whole room, right? Gun blast goes off. We're looking at, 5 or 6 really bright lights in the studio right now. And, we look at it as the gun blast is 2 of those lights. And so we can just shut those 2 lights off. The rest of everything stays on. What traditional hearing protection does is it just pulls the plug on everything. And so it may be that light is the culprit, but all the other 5 lights all get turned off at once. And so, and again, by doing that, that's that premise right there, guys, is what got us to, it ain't cheap because it ain't cheap. And to have a 16 band, basically a 16 to 22 band graphic equalizer built in the middle of the circuit, so we can go in and very specifically decide we want to enhance these frequencies, we want to diminish these frequencies, is why we can do it. And that's truly where the struggle is. There's not a day that goes by in the last probably 3 years of my life where I'm not trying to figure out, how do we get this to be a really good $400 unit instead of $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $2,000 unit. And so it's just it's hard to maintain the signal quality with cheap microphones and cheap amplifiers and stuff like that. And so, that's the fun stuff. It keeps you going. That's what you get excited. Sam and I were talking about earlier. You get excited about the flip of the calendar year, and you kind of carry the same baggage. We're getting closer. I'm pumped on the new release of the universal fits that we have on that we got coming out. I brought a couple, Sam, to get in front of you. Kind of one of the areas that we keep getting pulled into, and I just don't have subject matter expertise on it at all. Is the whole tactical side.
Exactly.
And we've had some cool conversations about that, but we keep getting pulled, heavy into that. I think some of our new universal products will be spectacular in that world.
I don't see why you can't do the same thing that you guys do. And, for the listeners, I'm going to try to paint the picture in, lamest terms. So these 2 earbuds you put in your ear, and they're custom fitted to your ear, and they have they just take regular hearing aid batteries, and once you close the battery cabinets for the hearing devices, they turn on, and then there's a volume button or volume dial for up and down. Then there's a source button, and you hit it, it'll go from upland game to elk to turkey to, I'm going to say heavy machinery, I believe is one of them.
Land
management. And, and you could cycle through, whichever program fits, what you're currently doing. And they're the best hearing devices that I have ever used to date, and now to segue into the tactical realm, I think that'd be easy to do. I mean, you're talking about footsteps, you're talking about movement in gravel, you're talking about opening and closing of doors and or windows, curtains sliding, and things of that nature that you would have to amplify, and you could be more lethal going into target and safer.
I'm assuming, Sam, you guys probably just had ears talking to each other, but you had nothing that was suppressing gunfire or anything else.
So we had multiple different types. One, we just had an earbud, and I forget what it was called. I think the Invisio. And it was just like a skin-colored earbud. And then the Silings came out, I want to say 2009-10 timeframe. And it's close to what Bill has over at TETRA. I never liked them much because I don't, directional-wise, you couldn't tell where the noise was coming from. But mainly we used like Peltor-like devices, and that also ran our communications from our radios into our ears. And so you can listen to one radio out of one ear and another radio out of the other. But there are noise canceling at a certain decibel. So when someone starts shooting or you start shooting, then all of a sudden you can't hear anything, right? And and that creates its own problems. And also with the lack of ability to associate the noise with a direction, what a lot of guys do is once they get into a sniper hide or something like that, this happened to me. I took my Peltors off and I put in that earbud. That way I can hear, if someone is creeping up on us or something of that. And you a lot of times you don't get a pick when things go really loud, right? The enemy gets a vote. For me, one time I had that earbud in, and then some things went kinetic real quick, and then I couldn't hear for a day or two. And since then I've had hearing aids. So I think splurging not splurging, but dipping your toe into the tactical realm, you have a lot to work with here under your patents. I truly believe that. I think you can help protect and be more lethal, and those are the two things that every operator wants.
Yeah. And that's so spot on. I said earlier, I don't have that subject matter expertise. Obviously, you do, and just a few things that you can talk about. And that's exactly what we need is you tell me, because I can go figure out how to get those frequencies.
Yeah.
Like the difference between a window opening and a curtain sliding, two very different frequencies.
Correct.
It's awesome that you recognize that, and you can say like, that's valuable to hear. So obviously footsteps,
breathing.
Yeah, and whether it's competition, whether it's 3-gun, that's what's fun. It's a little bit of the conversation we had before we kicked off, Sam, of like, I don't know if drinking from the fire hydrant ever stops, right? Both of you, Jay, you know a little bit about that, being the pressure cooker of professional athlete, right? And so I guess it's crazy to think it will stop. I don't know if I'd like life if it stopped, but the point is we've got unlimited ways to go. We get pulled. We got a lot of very cool R&D projects going, looking at putting biometric sensors in these in the ear, and you can collect unbelievable amount of data. That project has kind of got us into some very cool stuff that we're doing with canines and getting these, and I kind of came to it with this idea of we as sportsmen, we do some horrible things to our best friends, shooting. They eat a lot of muzzle blast, whether they're a duck dog or an upland dog or a pointing dog, and they eat a ton of muzzle blast, and it's hard to find a hardcore duck dog that's 6, 7, 8 years old that has good hearing, right? And so I came in from this, the sport dog thing, but the idea, where it's going and where we've gotten pulled to, Sam, is much more in your world, and like everything from search and rescue to some very, very cool stuff. Working with a prominent veterinary program and doing some cool stuff. Probably most far down the road I can say, but like the whole idea is like there's no limit on what we can do with the ear, from collecting, predicting, truly probably predict. Old dude like me thinks they can put 24 specs decoys, full body decoys, and walk 300 yards out in a flooded rice field, and my ticker doesn't do well with that, right? Because and so it can predict heart attacks.
That is amazing, because I know last year, or it could have been this hunting season, but I believe it was last hunting season. I read, I think 5 guys in Minnesota died carrying deer out of heart attacks.
Really?
Yep.
I don't.
Why do you know that stat?
Jay, I don't know.
Oh my gosh,
dude! But I don't know about Minnesota, but I can absolutely speak about over the last 30 years. There's a 2-week firearm deer season in Michigan, and the number one cause of death by far is heart attack. And so you're 100% right. And a lot of it's, no 4-wheelers on state land, and you're pulling it through, thick cedar swamps, and you sit on your ass, for 50 weeks of the year, and you go hard for 2 weeks, and it just doesn't work, right?
So it's like shoveling snow. Someone's dying of a heart attack of that first snow. One thing I never do, and this is my fault. I never say it's rifle season, right? And ideally, I'm just taking one shot. Ear pro's not on the top of my list, right? And I know it's not. However, one thing I have not done is actively hunt, with a rifle and wear your ear protection or ear protection. And I guess it's a 2-part question. Number one, should I be wearing them all the time, even if I'm going to take one shot? And second question is, do people wear them to amplify the noises around them, like elk hunting with a bow?
Hard yes on both of those.
Okay.
And also a little depends, right? And so like the bow, for the guy who has hearing loss, to be able to correct for the hearing loss, and to be able to, like, we have our turkey product and the deer product are the same one. It's just little bitty thing we call an amp pod. I don't know if you guys have even seen it, because we went right to custom with y'all. But there are there's hardcore, guys that look a whole lot like Sam's arms there, working in shops, going hardcore. They're going 4 or 5, 8 miles back in, chasing a whitetail with a saddle, right? And they get up there, and this whole idea is that they're in a tree and they have no idea. Your eyes give you 135 degrees of information. They have a moderate to severe hearing loss because they've been working on bikes and cutting metal and firing guns and doing dude stuff their whole life and not being smart about it. And the amount of deer that are sneaking on and going on around them, or an elk, if that elk's all jacked up in September and bugling his head off, it's a little bit different. Kind of like the big guy does in the springtime woods there with our gobblers. But your ears give you 360 degrees of information. Your eyes give you 135, right? And once you're at the limit with those eyeballs moving, now you got to start moving head and shoulders and looking around you. And the best conservation tool to keep a deer or any critter alive is movement. Right? And so going to like that one shot thing, and we hear it all the time, but man, if I could tell you the hundreds of stories that I've heard of, it's the one, and everyone thinks it's the one shot. It really isn't, right? It's not unlike, the guys will go like, man, I'm never doing a shot of tequila again. It killed me. That's why I got sick, right? Well, no, it was the 23 beers that you drank all Saturday at the tailgate, right? It wasn't the one shot of tequila. And so it's the whole purpose of that is like, it's a lifetime of hearing loss. That one shot puts you over the edge and fractured you tipped over the table here, right? And, now, there's also times when it can get, that one shot is better or worse. Being in a tree, completely free field environment, longer muzzle, no muzzle brake, is, as much as I hate to say safe, it's safer than in at the NWTF last year. I mean, I had a very, very cool Western Kentucky woman who basically, tears in her eyes, like took me back to 1991 on the date. And she was getting ready to poke a nice deer, 200 yards across the cornfield, good buck out in front, sitting in a shooting shack. And it got spooked and went out to the other side, and she just rotated and had a muzzle brake 270. Right. And out front that barrel was probably 20 inches outside the window. She just rotated her chair, put it out the side window, and that barrel was probably 3 inches out. And so that entire muzzle brake got encapsulated in that. And NWTF, I mean, we're sitting there, I'm hugging on her because she's crying, and her life in a blink of an eye, one shot completely changed. Right. And
do you think that was overpressure as much as it was noise?
Oh, it's the shock wave. Right. And so you get, what happens to that. And inside the inner ear is kind of the main computer of it all is a membrane. You have 3 chambers. If you took a big McDonald's straw and made 3 individual chambers into that one straw, and how waves are moving that fluid back and forth in those chambers, and there's those inner hair cells that we talked about earlier are sitting on what we call the basilar membrane. It's just this kind of elastic piece that moves up and down from these waves. And then you put that shock wave through there. So yes, there's decibels, but there's just also, it's a tsunami going through that little space, and it just kind of obliterates everything that's in there. And so,
and it's not something you think about if you don't have hearing problems. You think, all right, the muzzle is going to be outside, but then you have to change in those box blinds, and you're like, all right, it's, you make a decision in 5 seconds, and you pull the trigger. Next thing you know, like, you can't hear for 3 days.
And
I've done it myself.
Yeah. You guys could probably, if I gave you this assignment, you'd have great answer in 24 hours for me. I don't know what to compare that to. The damage. The problem is there's no blood, right? and there's no cuts, but the damage that you are doing to your inner ear, which then is completely changing and altering for the rest of your life the information your brain is getting, right? And the input, that inner ear, it's a filter. It's a big filter bank, right? And it's no different than an oil filter in your truck, or you can have a 250 horse Yamaha on the back of your boat, and if that $2 fuel filter gets plugged up, that 250 horse is worth nothing, right? Like, and that's
so I mean that thing doesn't heal itself. I mean, it's just deteriorating over time. Is that correct? Is that accurate?
Well, yes, especially if it's if we're doing it like multiple duck seasons, right? Or or if you're working around noise every day, and you're semi or zero to semi compliant about wearing hearing protection, and at some point, one of the big things in Sam's life is the whole idea of this challenge. It's always been a challenge. I don't care if you're on the line at Ford Motor Company on an assembly line, or running a dozer, or a jackhammer, or sitting still for 3 days being a sniper. This important the chicken and egg has always been, how do you protect and hear what's going on around you? And and while an orange foam plug, when there's 10,000 of them hanging in a box at the factory, keeps the lawyers out of it and makes you compliant from an employer standpoint, and it does protect the ear. The biggest reason that people won't incorporate it is because they can't hear what's going on. They can't hear the safety. They can't hear what's going on on the line that they're running. They can't hear their buddies. They can't hear the super. Like, this idea of communication and protection has been a mess for a long time. And I've been very hard on my colleagues in the profession of audiology on this, like, shame on us approach. We do an awesome job at selling $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 sets of hearing aids. Right. And the companies do an amazing job of building millions of products to justify a $5,000 set of hearing aids. Right. I think we have done a very poor job of how do we prevent less hearing loss. And
I think the hearing aid brand I have is Resound.
Yep.
And I've been told by audiologists, I like it's like a fan noise that you can constantly play in them. And I was told that your brain can learn to listen to that fan noise and not your tinnitus, and your tinnitus will subside.
Spot on. It when it works great. And that's awesome if you're getting relief from it. It's like a lot of things in life, right? It's what you think you can do is what you can do. Yeah. Right. And so I'm sure that, part of what makes you a successful Navy SEAL is that you're going to accomplish the task, right? And you're going to hit the mission. And so there is a lot of effort in that. And a lot of it is just like accepting the trade-off. I'm going to hear this broadband fan noise, so I don't hear this little itty bitty pure tone that's driving me nuts, keeping me up at night and stuff like that, and that ringing. And so it is absolutely a trade-off. And then the real successful ones is that you can kind of take it as a therapeutic approach and start narrowing down that fan noise and narrowing down the bandwidth, right? And then eventually kind of train your brain to stop listening to the internal ringing. And so, you'll have a bad experience, a little bit like what Jay was just talking about. Like you have, either a big explosion, or you get a big reverberation, and you have a bad incident with the trigger pull, and the ears ring and it roars and it kind of, hollers at you for, 3 or 4 days. If that never goes away, it's amazing how many times I saw in my career where people would, come in and they're kind of pissed off that they did it to themselves sometimes, right? Or they're pissed off if somebody swung on a cripple and muzzle blasted them, and now 3 weeks later the ear's still screaming, and it's an issue with your buddy. But the bottom line is that they would come into clinic, they go through a workup. And, at some point they end up getting pushed over out of audiology and pushed over to ENT. And the first thing the ENT is going to do is order an MRI or a CT scan, and this idea that we need to rule out a tumor
behind the ear.
Right. And now like it just keeps compounding, and like, and the ringing's getting worse because now I might have a tumor in my brainstem and blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden all the results come back and everything's normal. There's no tumor. It's no good. It's just, you had 6 months later, I'll see him in clinic. They'll come back for a follow-up. Oh, doc, it's really not that bad. I don't notice it anymore. Right? It's like once you kind of go through the education process and you get, I'm not dying, I'm not going crazy, I'm not losing my hearing. I had to kind of crap the bed moment, right? Because I did something stupid, right? And it often, like that one episode often comes from something stupid. You know, a good buddy of mine was working in his shop and kept seeing, kind of end of the season, kept seeing this beautiful 8-point stick his head out, you know, downrange a little bit. And he's like, all right, that's enough. Goes over the safe, pulls out his 30-06, leans against the metal shop wall there and cranks one off. And he lost 70% of his hearing on that one episode. Damn. Right. And just
one shot.
It was one shot. And so everyone's like, come on, one shot, really? Yeah. And the shot depends. And so, I mean, my position is like, if we can give you a great hearing experience, is there any reason to not have it in your ear? Yeah. I'm going to go one step further. Sam, at your age and the commitment that you have made in your life, and now you're dealing with, you know, something we can't fix, right? Correct. You're dealing with hearing loss. You're talking about you're wearing resound hearing aids, and like, in the whole play with that. And we can talk about, you know, as early in your life, the connection between hearing loss and Alzheimer's and dementia and stuff. Like, I would tell you, you don't get another mulligan, right? Like, and it's not that you were doing dumb stuff. You got here doing some very incredible, brave stuff. And so, like,
I've done a lot of dumb stuff.
I'm sure it's on the list.
Plenty of
it. But you're too young to have it, and you don't get any more freebies, man. Yeah. And so, like, one shot does make a big difference. And I started to say, like, if I gave you this assignment, like, I don't know what to equate it to. I really I goof around all the time and in the office, and I've done some stuff on stage at like DU events and stuff where I kind of equate it to if we could prove, and I've written up a whole like a press review or press release of a big research, or, you know, breakthrough scientific research, and I want to post this out on like April Fool's Day, right? And it's this whole like serious, you know, TETRA's had this big breakthrough in hearing science, and that we found that erectile dysfunction is 100% tied to hearing loss. Right?
Everyone would.
Brother, we couldn't make them fast enough. All right?
Sold out.
And that TETRA is now, like, we've put on a third wing. We're running three 24/7, and it's a 9-week wait list in order to get your product. And like, but serious, like if it
that or hair loss, you
right?
Take her easy.
You're bald and beautiful. We love it.
Thanks, bud. All right, let's talk about suppressors. How much do they drop the decibel, and how much do they protect your hearing? Whether you're trekking in the backcountry, bird hunting, or just chasing squirrels in the backyard, your dog needs fuel that can keep up with the adventure. And that's where Montana Dog Food comes in. Born in the heart of Big Sky Country, this isn't just dog food. It's adventure-grade nutrition. Crafted with responsibly sourced ingredients from the Western U.S. and freeze-dried to lock in every ounce of goodness, Montana Dog Food Company delivers clean, powerful fuel for your pup's wild side. No shortcuts, no synthetic junk, just premium, nutrition-packed meals and treats designed to support strong muscles, healthy joints, and endless energy, whether you're trekking trails or snuggling by the fire. So give your dog the food that fuels their adventurous spirit. Go to MontanaDogFoodCo.com and feed your dog the best.
They for sure protect your hearing. It is a great question. A lot it depends on what you're shooting. Yep. Depends on the load and the caliber, and again the situation. But rarely does it get you down to where you can still be unprotected, right? And so,
like deer rifle 308 or 300 Win Mag,
36, 270, like you are. So the math behind it all, and this is where again I think some shame on the hearing scientists over the last maybe 100 years. you can look up, what's a safe decibel level to listen to, and man, you're going to get 3 or 4 different reports from different monitoring organizations on what's a safe level and how long. They're all pretty much the same, but they also are different. But just to throw numbers by this, in general, you are safe listening to 85 decibels for more than 8 hours a day. Once you
quick question along those lines. Like, what decibel is like our Apple earbuds in our ear turned up full max, silenced out? I mean, what's that at?
I don't know. It's over 100 dB, right?
So it's unsafe.
It's unsafe. Yes,
Gotcha.
it truly is.
That's what I figured.
And definitely over 95 dB. And at 95 dB, you basically at 90 dB, you can listen to 85. The easiest rule of thumb, 85 is good for 8 hours. Once you increase it 5 decibels, you have to cut your exposure time by half. Right. Okay. So 90 is 4 hours, 95, 2 hours. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's for long-term noise. For the stuff you're asking about, like with gunshots and the suppressors, for what we call an impulse noise, which is less than 3 milliseconds. Right. And the hard part is that a gunshot is beginning, peaked, and done within 3 milliseconds. The safe allowable level is 140 decibels or below.
Okay.
All right. And so that different, you can stand on a factory line, or you can run, a grasshopper cutting grass for, 8 hours a day at 85. But you get at 138 is what you want for an impulse noise. And so if that 308, it depends on what you're shooting. If that's at, 160, 165 dB output, which it easily is, and you're getting just ballpark between 20 and 25 on a can, 65 out minus 20, you're at about 145. You're still louder than the 140 safe level.
You're doing damage.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So are suppressors these days made, because I always was told, like, hey, it's a plus that they make your gun quieter. However, we're using them to suppress our flash. That way the enemy can't see us, right? So these suppressors are flash suppressors more so than noise suppressors, correct?
In general, I don't know if that's, the suppressor game has become so big, and there's so many different manufacturers. I don't want to speak, globally.
Are you talking about military, Sam?
But what you're getting, how they need to trap that flash is very different than how they need to trap a decibel, right? And so, and that's all it really is just a bunch of convoluted little chambers, right? And so, I would think, not the expert, but just, what I know between the two of them is that you will have a louder sound experience with a suppressor that's intended to mitigate the flash. And so, but even the ones, again, commercially available ones that are used, mostly for hunting, and more importantly, just like, range, any range situation, it does not get to, especially for multiple shots over an extended period of time, it doesn't get you to an unquestionably safe level. Plinking on a 22, maybe even like a 223 type thing, or 17 HMR, like, although there's a lot of big boom with that small bullet, big boom, right? But it's interesting. I'm really dying to see where it all goes. To me, it's one of the best parts of the new calendar year is getting rid of that tax stamp and kind of see what happens, how much that's been holding back both suppressor technology and suppressor purchasing. And so, you guys got any feelings on like?
No, I have a few suppressors, and I wish I had one on every single gun I own, because yes, it might not suppress the noise down to a decibel that's tolerant without ear pro. However, it drops it tremendously.
Absolutely.
Right. And so I think they should be on every gun while hunting. And you can go, in other countries, you can go to True Value and buy them over the counter, like you can a gun, and you can't do that here, and that's a little mind-boggling. So I'm glad we're going the other direction with that.
or even in a lot of foreign, that's the requirement. Like you are forced to wear in a lot of the European countries.
You go to Europe and you can't hunt without one.
Right. Yeah.
Really? In Europe, huh? I didn't know that.
I mean, in certain countries.
Yeah.
In certain places. Yeah. I mean, you have to. And I mean, I don't know. The U.S. government has made suppressors and silencers unattainable for the past, let's get rid of the last 10 years ago. It was, the hoops and red tape you had to go through. So, getting rid of the tax stamp and making them more accessible, I think is a good thing for everybody.
I agree. What's your favorite attribute that your hearing protection has?
It's really about, and again, I don't know how you separate the chicken and egg on this, but it's really about the hearing correction. Like I love, and we're coming up on the season, like the biggest, like just heart jerking on your heartstrings and putting, getting your eyes to water up is the turkey hunter. It's that old guy that's been chasing them hard, and it's how he identifies as himself. And you need good hearing in order to enjoy, it's the classic, if he didn't gobble, not many people would chase him. Right. I mean, it's the sounds of spring, and it's just that whole damn Romeo and Juliet love story that's going on in the woods, right? And she says this and he does this, and like just that whole and getting that animal to do what's not natural, right? She's supposed to go to him, he's not supposed to come looking for her. And so I would probably say where I'm most proud, and man, last bullet in my gun that I'm saving and fighting for is that guy that can't do what he wants to do because of his hearing. And I think there's enough ways, and it doesn't mean I don't care about the young guys, right? It's probably on both ends of the continuum. Like if we could make change, we ended up with like 5 or 6 emails from parents, mostly mothers. There was one dad, 4 mothers, that sent in their teenage boys' Christmas list. And TETRA was on, that they wanted TETRA Alpha Shield Waterfall, right? Like literally. And I mean, that just blew me up. Like there's no end of the year sales report that will ever mean more than those four emails that I got. And that's
to your point, I've been in the woods with, elk bugling. I've been in the woods with turkey bugling with other people. And you hear an elk sound off or a turkey gobbling. You're like, where was it at? And all 3 people pointing different directions. And it's like, well, shit.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm leaning in. I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
And the fourth guy,
turkey?
There was a bugle, is what Sam said.
I'll see Jay. He'll like, his head will peek up, like, and point somewhere. I'm like, dude, I'm just following you. I didn't hear a fucking thing.
Just blindly following.
And so like to restore being able to do that, right? And again, it's more the messages that to restore the delight of hearing, and that's more like sappy hearing doc than it is businessman, but like that's what got me into it. So that's the wave I'm riding. So
I'd like to talk about some, I'm going to call them, home activities, home projects, because I know swinging a sledgehammer and hitting some, like that's hurt my ears tremendously before, like indoors, and running a quickie saw, and then
chainsaws.
Yep, chainsaws get real loud when you rev those things up. So I use mine around the house quite often now. What activities that the average homeowner or average guy or gal do that are above that 95 decibels, that 130 decibels that you spoke of?
Yeah, it'd be cool. It's crazy that you say that. I believe it was yesterday, maybe the day before, but our social post was an Apple Watch that was the 3rd warning. It was about 35 minutes into a duck hunt that my son was on. And his Apple Watch went off for the 3rd time, and they had never shot it. They hadn't pulled the trigger yet. All they were doing is calling. Bunch of high traveling ducks, and they're blowing their lungs off. And that dang watch will tell you when it's 90 dB or better, and you are now in a hazardous environment.
Really?
Right? Oh, absolutely. And it's
I've been in a cycle class at Lifetime, and it's went off.
Really?
Just from the music. I had like an hour. I promise you.
We should probably have another alert for Jay at the cycling class when it goes off. But
I think we need to do a podcast from the cycle class.
That would be cool. But yeah,
It's electric,
it's. I mean, it
Jane
it's
Fonda
real.
on that bike. Sorry, I got
He's going way back on the Jane Fonda. I was expecting a little something more than like what I grew up with.
That's all I got.
That's for me. That's because the 57-year-old is in here. He's going Jane Fonda.
There you go.
But like easy rule of thumb, if you have to raise your voice to talk over it, you better start thinking about it, right?
Okay.
Like, and some things are obvious, like the stuff that we do the most, like, you know, riding or pushing a lawnmower, a weed eater is a killer, right? Backpack blowers, like all the stuff. I mean, most of the stuff that we do, and those are the things like, yes, we came up with things like land management, which give you a really cool response for that. And we built a bunch for a big custom, you know, cabinetry maker, or I went in and kind of like you're talking earlier about, you know, curtain rod versus window opening versus footsteps. Like we can go in and I measured 9 of their different saws that were running at different times. And I could make custom algorithms, you know, for those guys that were wearing them in the shop. Right. And so you don't need anywhere near that sophistication between if you're doing 4 hours worth of yard work and you're going to have a chainsaw in your hand and a leaf blower and a weed eater and you're going to ride a lawnmower for 90 minutes, then like your ears need to be protected for all of that. And you can either do it super cool and have custom and be listening to an outsider podcast or listening to your music, or you can put orange foam plugs in or you can put muffs on. But like,
another thing that gets me a lot with hearing aids is riding my motorcycle because of all the wind. I can't wear them. And then, you know, the wind gets loud over time. Do you have any reports from any of your customers wearing them while riding motorcycles?
Not on a cycle, per se, but it shouldn't be any different. I mean, we get reports all the time that, man, they were in 30-mile-an-hour winds duck hunting or out west or, you know, and one of our, again, from a technology standpoint, one of our big breakthrough moments was being able to get a really badass noise algorithm for wind noise and reducing that down. And part of it with the products that you guys have, the customs, were able to hide the microphone under a very big part of your ear called the helix. And we put the microphone under there. So it's incredibly hard for wind to get on there. But if any wind does get on, if you step back, wind doesn't have a noise at all, right? When wind hits an object, it creates turbulence, and that the noise we hear, and it doesn't matter if it's like kind of soothing, like, you know, wind going through a pine tree, or whether wind's going through a palm tree at 150 miles an hour and it's a hurricane. It's a different scene. But if the concept of your device, Sam, riding a bike should be, I've had I was out west on a pheasant hunt, and we kind of pushed the limit a little bit and talk about doing dumb stuff, right? And we got caught. We were 6-8 miles from the truck, and we got caught in a horrible wind, a big windstorm, and it ended up, you know, 70, 80 mile an hour winds, and there was wildfires all over. We got caught in it was about, and I measured it, it was 56 miles an hour. And I'm looking straight into the wind doing a video and could not hear any wind. Right? Could not get, and part of it is we hide the mic, and we also have a really awesome, we rented, this is back in the day, when's the stuff that you just, I mean, you talk about pucker and tight, it was $3,000 to rent a noiseless fan. And in Music City, there's a lot of this stuff. They probably have one here. And if they do, the going rate's $3,000. So, and its idea is like, that's how you get, you know, Carrie Underwood's hair blowing in the wind while they're doing the music video, and it's not picking up any of the noise of the fan. And we use that to write our algorithm for wind noise. And we kept it, I wish I would have done like miles per hour, but it was low, medium, high. And if this is the microphone, you had it blowing at 0 degrees right across it, 45 degrees down on it, and 90 degrees down on it. And then you just measure the turbulence, and then you write a formula to cancel out that turbulence. And so that's the kind of stuff that we, you know, we use them. We're building in a very selfish way. I was building the product that I want to wear,
Yeah.
right? That I want my buddies and my family.
You have to do, you know, because you have to believe in it, you know, 1,000%, especially if you're going to start a business behind it, right? Because that business is going to take a little bit of your soul along the way.
It sure does.
But
now so back on the, you know, riding a bike, I think that's where we could get to. We've got some stuff for like, you know, push to talk.
Yeah.
Where the idea is that it could go one to many.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole new Bluetooth platform, a global Bluetooth platform out called Auracast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to make a big difference in the next probably, you know, 2 to 5 years. We're looking at incorporating that kind of stuff where like you could walk into what Auracast does is it's typically Bluetooth is 1-to-1, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the phone to your device. And our Bluetooth system is exactly that. Auracast is 1-to-many. So you could walk into church, and as long as you have a Bluetooth receiver built into your hearing aid, you're able to pick up. It doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't have to be 1-to-1. It could be 1 to 1,000. And so the big part is again, what direction do we go? That's why I love getting out, and that's why, you know, both you guys have been very gracious with your time, whether we're standing at an SCI booth or coming out to the shop and seeing us. And I want to know what the consumer wants. And again, at this point, you don't need to be number 6,000 telling me how cool it is.
Yeah.
Be number 6 telling me like what things need to be different.
You know, and it's even hard to articulate how different your hearing protection is to all the other ones that I've used, you know, but I'll try, you know, the clarity, the direction of the noise canceling features when, you know, the loud noise happens, whether it be a gunshot or what have you. And more than anything, the comfortability. Like those things are the most comfortable ear pro that I've ever worn. And so, you know, if you're interested in it, I highly suggest, of course, I didn't listen when I was young, but if you're young, start wearing these things. If you do a lot of shooting, wear these things, do a lot of yard work, you have to wear these things. Check out TETRA, go to tetra.com, and Bill has it dialed in.
It's a science. They're incredible.
Man, that's cool. It's cool, and I appreciate the very kind words, and I especially appreciate you using the word science. And that's exactly where I mean, a lot of it came from the first time I was laying eyes on you on the football field, Jay, up at Vanderbilt, right? And I was on faculty there when you were playing there, and it is we try to bring hardcore science, you know, in making the products. Here's the problem. This is what I'm so grateful, number one, for you guys making time to do things like this, but being a big supporter. But the other part is that you guys have the platform and it's not just about TETRA, right? It's like we've talked about a lot of different situations where particularly young males need to do a better job. Just across the board, we need to do a better job. And like those are the most important things. And while I love all the great things that customers say, and especially what you just said about the product and about the company, to me, the biggest nut to crack is like, how do we get it to where it is like some of the other standards in and outside of the, you know, I grew up in Northern Michigan. That's where I learned to ski. And I mean, it was Levi's and a really bad polyester coat and my baseball hat on backwards, right?
It's still what I wear.
And I mean, you go anywhere now, but particularly like anywhere out west, and like they're looking at you like you got 4 eyes if you don't have a helmet on, right? Like if you don't have a helmet on your head while you're a skier, if you don't, you know, the idea it doesn't matter how badass the shot is for an advertisement. If you're in an elevated tree stand, I don't care if you're advertising the boot, the arrow, the bow, the scent, the stand, whatever. If you don't have a safety harness on, that ad is never going to print, right? It's never. So like that industry changed. It's I mean, I've watched what my two oldest children, my daughters, both have babies now. So this guy's pops. And I watched like what they had to go through in order to bring those babies home in a car seat. Like they had to bring the car seat in. It had to be inspected. They had to be put it in. Like someone watched them connect it. Like man, this guy came home on mom's lap in that brown wood station wagon, sitting on and Dad was probably smoking a cigarette, right? Like,
you are correct.
I mean, we all know that, and like from a safety and wellness and health standpoint, like so much has changed,
Mm-hmm.
and it just seems like everyone has left a lifelong commitment to hearing protection, and it starts. Your point was awesome about the AirPods. I mean, it started. Yeah. Here's one for you. For the last, it's either 17 or 18 years, the number one fastest growing segment of hearing loss, like per decile in U.S. society, is the teenage segment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all they are so plugged in, and there's very little awareness of monitoring how loud, and it's in its length of time,
Mm-hmm.
And it's just they're constantly, and it's just, and again, if you've got 15,000, Sam burned, as you pointed out, Jay, Sam burned through his pretty quick. Well, I mean, if you're listening to, if you're plugged in constantly listening to too loud, mm-hmm. you're burning through those hair cells.
You're doing damage.
Yeah. And so this whole concept, I mean, I'm a very firm believer that if we can just get the attention, if we can just have the conversation, if mm-hmm. we can, and if TETRA can be, a part of changing that standard, it's not about selling. We'll get our fair share of sales, mm-hmm. right? If mm-hmm. we're considered the thought leader, if we've got the best technology, that's on us, right? Mm-hmm. What we need to do is have more things like this. I mean, you guys have watched enough of these shows with you, and I know you two well enough. There's all kinds of cool, badass stuff that you get to talk about. Like mm-hmm. ears are not sexy mm-hmm. enough in hearing, but it is a very serious moment, and it's. I'm super grateful that you made time for it. But this is what we need more of, right?
Absolutely.
My struggle is how do you get the young moms involved? Because mm-hmm. I promise you, if mothers knew what was going on when Dad took, Johnny and Timmy all these weekends over to Arkansas duck hunting, right? Mm-hmm. And it was, I mean, she would be pissed off at her dad and mm-hmm. at her husband.
I think everyone's guilty of that, right? So I think the best thing we could do is, just create more brand awareness and create more, health conscious hearing conservation awareness around TETRA, right? Yeah. Because like I said, I've worn more ear pro than the common guy, and yours are the most comfortable and the best that I've used. So.
Well, we're looking at some really cool stuff for the youth, and doing, again, like we talked, how you're designing suppressors differently for mm-hmm. different purposes. But there's different things. We're looking at fluid-filled capsules for just like instead of foamies, it'd be like a foamy, but there's different things. And again, you got part of the product that we're releasing is something that kids can grow into. So we have it to where the universal is going to have a sleeve, or you can make a custom mold, and now it's a modular system, so they can kind of grow into a custom, so they could have that mm-hmm. kind of learn the responsibility of taking care of it into kind of that rite of passage of most ears are done growing definitely by 12, mm-hmm. kind of 8 to 10 is a sweet spot.
Okay.
But it's just awareness, and it's just, man, it's commitment. It's like, you can go to dang Harbor Freight and buy, a set of earmuffs, and they can be on every power tool that you have, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's ways that we could make it. Yeah. And God, Jay, I mean, I'll say it. My kids are, 30, almost 28 and 22, and mm-hmm. being on that side of it, you can talk to your blue in the face. They watch what you do, mm-hmm. right? They watch how you treat people, mm-hmm. how you act, how you you can give them all the upbringing that you want, but they learn most of that by watching their mm-hmm. heroes and their people, and they may give you flack in those teenage years, but they pay attention and they remember, and so
they do. Well, Bill, I truly appreciate you coming on today and telling everyone about TETRA. And I want everyone to go to tetra.com and check out what Bill has going on, because it's absolutely phenomenal. you want to throw any shameless plugs up in there?
No, I think we've hit it all. It really, I could do a whole just health and hearing awareness. But it's real. And so, yes, please check out the brand. If you want a hat or a cool hoodie and just kind of be part of it and what you stand for, it doesn't mean you have to buy the product. You can be part of the community, and you can just kind of believe in spirit. And again, if you're going to go grab a chainsaw or a leaf blower, and if things like these conversations make you think twice about putting in some orange foam plugs, then we've accomplished the goal.
And go ahead and give TETRA a follow on Instagram. You have a great Instagram account. It's mainly outdoor stuff, some great hunting pictures, and some great content. So check out TETRA on IG as well.
Please do follow it, and probably most important, this is how change happens, right? And share it with your friends and your buddies. That's how I'm a firm believer that most important. You look back in history, most important moments of change kind of started with a younger movement, a youth movement. And sometimes it was kind of crazy standing in a muddy field way back when. But that's what we're trying to do. And again, kudos to you guys for making time for this. We've talked about it a while, so I know you've been truly committed because we've put this off for several months. And Jay, go get them.
Yeah.
Put an arrow in them, man.
I got my stuff here. I'm about to get dressed and head on out. It's super windy right now, but the temperature's dropping. I'm going back in the woods, and I think it's gonna cool down back there. I don't think it should be as windy. So we got a shot. That's all we can ask for.
All right, buddy. Well, good luck, and shoot me a note if you see him or if you kill him.
I will.
Or
Thanks,
if you
boys.
miss, especially if you miss.
On, Bill.
Thank you, guys.
If I miss, you won't hear about it.
I know. That's why I said especially if you miss. All right, brother. Go get him.
All right, guys.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, Bill.
Absolutely.
Bill, I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man.
I really do.
You guys do great work, and look forward to doing more with you.